Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back. I want to talk about yet another interview question today, a really common one. I think this is like the stereotypical interview question where even if there's a movie scene on job interviews, you'd expect this question to be there. It's that widely known. And actually, I wrote about this in a blog post, and I'll put a link down in the bottom. But I talked to a colleague recently, and she was kicking off her job search, and literally, we sat down for lunch, and the first thing she asked me was how to answer this question. So I think it's really in the front of people's minds. It's that well known, and you don't know if you're going to face it, obviously, but I don't think anyone would be surprised if they face it. Like it's out there, it could come. So let's just jump right in. So if you've ever researched this question or this topic, chances are you've seen this, what I call the old method. You've seen this, it's been passed around for years and years and years, and it's not bad. Basically, they ask what's your greatest weakness, and you're really giving them something that's a strength and kind of making it sound like a weakness. But so one example is, this is probably the most common thing. Okay, well, I'm really detail oriented and thorough, so sometimes that slows me down in my work, and I have to kind of balance that with the speed too. And then as a second example, I'm really passionate about this line of work, so sometimes I need to remind myself to relax and stay calm. And in the heat of the moment, I get really excited. Those aren't real weaknesses, though. The good thing about this answer, it was great when it was new, when hiring managers hadn't heard it. I think it was pretty good. It got you through the question. And what's still great about it is that it at least stops you from shooting yourself in the foot. You're not going to give a weakness that's going to stop you from getting hired, like saying you don't work well with others, or you're not good at taking direction, or you argue with every boss you've ever had, and that's your weakness, is getting along with management or following direction or something like that. So it's going to keep you out of like a complete saying something that's a complete deal breaker. But I think you're not going to impress any hiring managers with this. At best it'll be seen as like a neutral answer where they don't think more highly of you, but you got through it and you didn't kill your chances just because they've heard it so much, and you're not really giving them you're not really telling them a weakness. You're not really giving them any info that helps them, and they really do want to know something about you. So I think we could do much better. Let's jump into what I recommend. But at the same time, I don't want people to think this is a horrible answer. It's still not bad. I would recommend that you keep the top example in your back pocket, just in case you freeze up and you're not sure what to say. It's not the end of the world to say, listen, I'm really detail oriented and careful with my work. Sometimes it slows me down, and I have to make sure to let things go too, and balance it with speed. That wouldn't be the worst thing ever. But again, let's jump in here to a newer method. So what I do here, and this is what I would do myself, this is what I recommend. You want to provide a real weakness. Give them something that they're going to appreciate hearing, and tell them something real about yourself. So, but there's a catch. There are a couple of catches. You can't just share whatever. There are some personality-based things that are going to really stop you from getting hired. Like I mentioned, like saying you can't follow direction, or saying you tend to argue with others a lot, or your weakness is getting along with other coworkers. Your weakness is having other people tell you what to do. You really hate that. That's something you've never been good at. You don't want to share that. So to play it safe, I would just recommend giving something skill related, not personality related. And that'll keep you in the clear on all of those fuzzy areas or sketchy areas that can really take you out of the running for the job. So I would pick something that's a skill as your weakness, or like a job related ability. It could be familiarity with a piece of software. It could be a particular part of your job. If you're an accountant, you could say you're weak in tax accounting. It's just one type of accounting, one field of accounting. The only thing is, make sure it's not essential to the job you're applying for. So if you're applying for a tax accountant position, you obviously cannot say your weakness is tax accounting. I mean, it should be common sense. So check out the job description before you go into the interview, and I recommend that all the time for a million reasons. This is just one more reason. Look at the job description. Make sure that you're picking a skill that isn't in the forefront of what the company prioritized. Because, again, you want it to be related because you want to seem like you're giving a genuine answer, but just make sure you're not picking something at the core of what they need you to come in and do from day one, because obviously that can't be a weakness if you're going to get hired. And then also right after that, talk about what you've done to mitigate the effects of this weakness. Maybe you've balanced that by getting good at something else, or you found a way around it, or maybe you're working to improve it and kind of become more well-rounded. Maybe you're great at a lot of other things. You have this one area that you just haven't done as much in, but you're working to bring it up to speed because you want to be a well-rounded contributor or something like that. And I have an example. I think my example coming up is basically that. So I just, for the example, I did software engineering. You don't have to be an engineer to understand this, but one of the programming languages that people use is Java. So you'll see that in the example here. It's just one of the many ways you can write code and create computer code. So, okay, so what's your greatest weakness? I guess when I look at my skill set as a whole, one weakness right now would be Java programming. It's just not something that I've been asked to do since school. So I get the fundamentals. I did it in school, but I'd be pretty rusty if you asked me to jump in today. I was planning on brushing up in the next few months anyway. I think it'd help me be more well-rounded and would filter down into some other areas that I use more often and help me overall. So I'm gonna plan on brushing up on that anyway. But I'd say it's a weakness right now. That's it. That's how I'd do it. And again, just make sure this is clearly a skill. Java is not like a personality trait. And just make sure that it's not all over the job description. I mean, if the first bullet point is like, we need a Java expert who can come in and not only start building things, but coach the rest of the team and get them up to speed. Obviously, they can't hire somebody who's rusty in Java if that's the case. So you kind of have to just make sure that you're sharing something about yourself that isn't the number one thing they need. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I'll wrap it up here. Remember, if this seems difficult, actually I do have another tip on this point. Practice a bunch. But I was going to say, if this seems difficult, you can always keep that other answer in your back pocket. The first scenario, the old method, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to impress anybody anymore, but it'll get you through the question without anything horrible happening. So if you freeze up, remember you can say I'm really detail oriented, but it's not what I recommend. Anyway, back to this. Practice a lot. This is not the question that you want to go in and wing it. You're going to freeze up. It's going to take you 5 seconds to think of something if you don't have anything prepared, and whatever you think of, chances are it's not going to be great. This is a really hard one to answer if you haven't practiced. So I'm glad you took the first step, watched this video. It's going to help you a lot. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I think I already mentioned that, but go ahead. I'll respond right away. If you want more tips like this, other videos and articles on how to answer interview questions and things like that, you can check out my blog. The URL is in blue right there. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll make another one soon. Thanks, guys.